It took 2 years for the Bartley family to win the right for Samuel, their son with special needs, to go to the same school as his sisters. So when Samuel's dad, Jonathan, was asked by the Tories if he wanted to talk to David Cameron, he leapt at the chance to ask him why the Conservatives want to make it harder for disabled children to get into mainstream schools.
But what your manifesto actually says is that you want to reverse the bias towards the inclusion of children in mainstream schools. Look at your own manifesto, it's what it says.
Sir, I wrote it. I couldn't feel more passionate about the subject because I had a hell of a battle.
I understand that.
And I want to make sure every child gets what they need.
But I'm telling you, it's the wrong way to go. You're not representing the needs of children in mainstream education. You want to segregate disabled children.
I absolutely don't. I really don't. And
David Cameron himself had a disabled son, Ivan, who died last year. The Camerons didn't think he would thrive in a mainstream school, but they say it was a battle for them to find a place in a special school, an experience that informed Conservative policy. David Cameron wrote this section of his manifesto himself, and it says, "The most vulnerable children deserve the very highest quality of care, so we will call a moratorium on the ideologically-driven closure of special schools. We will end the bias towards the inclusion of children with special needs in mainstream schools."
But what choice do I have if I have to battle for 2 years?
you shouldn't have to battle.
And you want to say you want to reverse the bias toward including children?
Sir, the whole point is at the moment you don't get what you want because the state doesn't respond to
No,
what
that
you're
is not
saying.
the point. The point is there's a bias against the inclusion of children, not for, which is what your manifesto says.
The Tories say they simply want to offer parents more choice, so they can send their children to whatever kind of school they want to. You won't be surprised to hear the other political parties say that's not what the Tory policies would do in practice.
There's got to be a real choice for parents as to whether they want their child included in a mainstream school or being in a special school. And it's clear that some parents are concerned that under the Tories we could lurch back to a policy of only having youngsters in special schools and not having that access to mainstream, which is so important.
Labour don't escape criticism. The school secretary intervened personally to get Bartley's son into the school of his choice, but only after a 2-year struggle.
In this case, we had to make sure in the end the extra money went in to adapt the school so that that child could be in a setting that the parents wanted, and I'm very clear, we should put parents in charge. It shouldn't be about a particular kind of ideology which says there must be one kind of provision only.
Bartley thinks he and his son were invited to talk to the Tory leader because they'd get a good photo opportunity, not a confrontation.
I can understand from David Cameron's own experience, his tragic situation with Ivan, who went to a special school. He wants to support them. But actually, parents go to special schools because of the failure of mainstream schools.
The Tories think their leader is at his best when he's handling unscripted questions. But after this, he was forced to admit the manifesto commitments he wrote himself could have been clearer.
Sarah Smith reporting. The Electoral Commission has released its latest figures detailing donations to the main political parties during the campaign, with the Conservative Party still outstripping its rivals. In the second week of campaigning, the Conservatives received more than £2.2 million, including a £25,000 donation from Warburton's, less than a week after David Cameron delivered a speech at the Baker's head office in Bolton. Sorry about that. At the same time, Labour received donations totalling just under £1.5 million, whilst the Liberal Democrats raised £120,000, 6 times what they raised in the first week.